Disney's theme parks are designed to be looked at. Every sightline is planned, every wall hides something, and usually what it hides is a generator or a break room. Not always. Behind the polish of the most photographed places on Earth are figures that were switched off and never switched back on. A creature the size of a house, frozen mid-lunge behind a strobe light for nearly 20 years. An entire attraction left to rot on an island in a Disney lake, reachable only by swimming past alligators. A ride that once used real human bones because the fake ones looked too cheap. And at number 1, a beloved robot that someone cut out of EPCOT in the dark and carried off. He has never been found. Stick with us to the end for that one. If you like the things hidden behind the curtain of famous places, subscribe. We post a story like this every week. Today we are counting down 7 abandoned animatronics that Disney quietly recycled, walled off, or lost. Number 7. The Disco Yeti on Expedition Everest. It is one of the largest, most advanced animatronics Disney ever built, and for nearly 20 years it has been doing an impression of a strobe light at a school dance. Expedition Everest opened at Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida in 2006. The ride climbs through a fake Himalayan mountain, and at the top, a Yeti, over 20 feet tall, was built to lunge out of the dark and swipe at the coaster as it raced past. For a few months, it did exactly that. It was the kind of effect that justified the whole mountain. Then the engineering caught up with the ambition. The figure was so powerful that its own movement cracked the concrete and steel base it was bolted to. Disney had a choice: close the headline ride for a year or more to tear the mountain open and fix the foundation, or stop the figure from moving. They stopped it from moving. The Yeti now stands frozen in what Disney calls B mode, perfectly still while strobe lights flash across it to fake the motion it can no longer perform. Fans named it the Disco Yeti because that is exactly what it looks like. The mountain was built as 3 locked-together structures, so getting it working again still means opening the whole thing up, and Disney has quietly declined to do that, refurbishment after refurbishment. Every guest who rides Everest still sees it for about a second in the flicker. The backup plan has now been running far longer than the thing it was backing up. Number 6. Horizons, the ride Disney deleted. Disney had never torn down an entire ride building before. Horizons was the first. It opened at EPCOT in Florida on October 1st, 1983, exactly 1 year after the park itself. It was a slow, gliding dark ride through the future. A family living in a desert colony, an undersea base, a space station. And it became one of the most loved attractions Disney ever made. People who rode it as kids still talk about it the way you talk about a house you grew up in. The trouble was money. General Electric, the sponsor, pulled out in 1993, and the expensive figures were costly to keep running. Disney kept Horizons limping along to cover for other rides being refurbished, then closed it for good on January 9, 1999. There is a long-running story that the building was sitting over a sinkhole. Disney has never confirmed it, and historians treat it as lore, not fact. What is certain is the ending. In 2000, the whole structure came down, the first time Disney demolished an entire show building rather than reuse it, to make room for Mission Space. The figures scattered. A butler robot from the ride resurfaced for Epcot's 25th anniversary. Pieces of the undersea city turned up at another park. The rest went into storage, into parts bins, into memory. Disney built a ride about the future and then became the only thing powerful enough to erase it. Number 5. The Singing Geese of America Sings. When this show closed, Disney did not retire its cast. It skinned 2 of them. America Sings opened at Disneyland in California on June 29, 1974. A rotating theater full of audio animatronic animals performing the history of American music, hosted by an eagle voiced by Burl Ives. It ran until 1988. And here is the thing about Disney figures. They are expensive, and they rarely simply die. They get reused. When the show closed, most of its 25-plus animals were moved into a brand new ride called Splash Mountain. But two of the long-necked geese met a stranger fate. Their feathers and outer skin were stripped off, leaving the bare robotic skeletons underneath. New heads were fitted, and they were stood up as droids in the queue for Star Tours, the Star Wars ride, where fans now call them the Goose Droids. A third figure, a stork, was kept purely as a practice dummy for training new animatronic programmers. The show carries something darker too, and it deserves to be said plainly. On July 8, 1974, 9 days after America Sings opened, an 18-year-old hostess named Deborah Gale Stone was caught and crushed between the rotating wall of the theater and a fixed wall during a scene change. A guest in the next theater heard her and thought it was part of the show. She did not survive. Disney closed the attraction and rebuilt the walls so they would break away if it ever happened again. When Splash Mountain itself closed in 2023, many of those recycled animals were finally pulled and reportedly sent to the Walt Disney Archives. Some had been performing in one form or another for almost 50 years. The two geese never made it to the archive. They are still in that line tonight, skin gone, smiling at people who have no idea what they used to be. Number 4. The Melted Stitch, in a sealed corner of the Magic Kingdom. There is a stretch of Tomorrowland in Florida that guests walk past without realizing it is dead. Behind the walls sits an entire abandoned attraction, and inside it, reportedly, the dismembered remains of one of the best animatronics Disney ever made. It started as Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, which opened in 1995. It was genuinely frightening. Restraints on your shoulders, total darkness, the sense that something had gotten loose in the room. It scared families badly enough that in 2004 it was softened into a comedy called Stitch's Great Escape, built around a single, mechanically complex Stitch figure that fans agree was extraordinary. The reboot never quite worked. In January 2018, the ride closed for what was called a seasonal break. It never reopened. By 2020, it was effectively confirmed abandoned, and Disney still has not put anything real in its place. Then, in October 2018, a photo leaked online. It appeared to show the Stitch figure pulled apart inside the dark closed theater, limbs and frame collapsed in a heap. Fans compared it to the melting villain at the end of an Indiana Jones movie. Disney has never confirmed the image, so it stays exactly that. A leaked photograph of a state-of-the-art robot, apparently in pieces, behind a door that no longer opens. Disney never announced the ride was gone. It just stopped turning on the lights. If you are finding this one as strange as we did, drop a like. It genuinely helps these get seen. And tell us in the comments which of these you somehow never knew about, because half of them hide in plain sight. We have done the fun ones and the eerie ones. The last 3 are where it gets dark. Number 3. The real skeletons of Pirates of the Caribbean. When the ride opened, the skeletons were not props. They were real. Pirates of the Caribbean opened at Disneyland in 1967, and it was staggeringly expensive. Roughly $8 million of the $15 million spent on the whole New Orleans Square area. The Imagineers building it were obsessed with realism, and the fake skeletons available in the 1960s looked, in their judgment, too cheap to be convincing. So according to former Disney producer Jason Searle, they solved the problem the way an anatomy class would. They obtained real human remains from the medical program at UCLA and dressed the sets with them. Multiple sources, citing Searle's book, tell the same story. As fake skeleton technology improved over the years, Searle says the genuine remains were quietly removed and returned to their countries of origin for proper burial. That is the official version, and it is the one supported by the record. Here is where fact ends and rumor begins. For decades, some fans and a few former cast members have insisted that at least one real skull was never removed, that it still sits on the headboard above the pirate reading a treasure map. Disney says there are no real remains left on the ride. There is no proof either way. So somewhere in Disney's history is a person who gave their body to science and ended up for a while on a theme park ride. Whether one of them never left is the kind of question Disney will not answer. Number 2. Discovery Island, abandoned in the middle of a Disney lake. There is an island sitting in Bay Lake, in the heart of Walt Disney World, that the public is not allowed to set foot on. Disney bought it quietly in 1965, through shell companies during the secret land grab that built the resort. In 1974, it opened as a lush zoological park, and for 25 years, guests took boats out to see its birds and animals. Then Animal Kingdom opened, far bigger, with the same idea done at scale. Attendance on the little island collapsed. On April 8, 1999, exactly 25 years after it opened, Discovery Island closed. Disney did not tear it down. It moved the animals out and walked away. For a while, there were plans to turn it into a real-life puzzle adventure built with the creators of the computer game Myst, but that never got past concept. So the island just sat there, furnished, and the jungle began taking it back. What it became is the part that pulls people in. In 2009, a photographer named Shane Perez and a few friends swam across the lake at night, floating their gear in waterproof bags, and documented what they found: buildings, empty cages, employee photographs still on the walls, and preserved snakes still floating in jars. The post went viral. Because the trespassing statute of limitations had run out, Disney could not charge him, so it banned him for life. In 2020, a man was arrested after actually living on the island during the lockdowns, hiding from security under a covering of leaves. He paid a $100 fine and got the same lifetime ban. This is not somewhere to try to reach. The waters connected to that lake are where a 2-year-old was killed by an alligator in 2016. The island is genuinely dangerous and genuinely off limits. It is still out there. A whole attraction, frozen the day it closed, rotting quietly in the middle of the happiest place on earth. Number 1. Buzzy. The animatronic that was stolen out of EPCOT. Picture pushing through a curtain in a closed pavilion, past a door that should be locked and is not. Inside, the air is still and smells of dust. The theater is intact, rows of seats facing a stage, lighting rigs overhead, control panels gone dark years ago, and on the stage, frozen exactly where he stopped, is a small figure in a flight suit, his hydraulic lines still faintly pressurized, still holding the pose he held the last time the show ran. He has been sitting in the dark like this for over a decade, and almost no one is supposed to know he is here. That figure was Buzzy. He was the star of Cranium Command, a genuinely beloved show at Epcot's Wonders of Life Pavilion that ran from 1989 to the start of 2007. The premise was that Buzzy was a tiny pilot stationed inside the brain of a 12-year-old boy, steering him through a chaotic day. When the pavilion closed, Disney did not clear it out. It turned off the lights and left everything where it stood, Buzzy included. For about 11 years, that sealed theater became legendary among urban explorers because getting in was almost absurdly easy. Step behind a curtain, push a door. People filmed Buzzy sitting there untouched. Then it went wrong. As Disney finally prepared to gut the dome for a new pavilion, the crew reportedly tagged Buzzy, "Do not destroy," intending to save him for the official Walt Disney Archives. But by the time they came for him, he was gone. Someone had cut his pressurized hydraulic lines, which takes real technical knowledge, and physically carried a heavy animatronic out of Epcot. Nobody noticed for an unknown stretch of time. Disney never publicly announced the theft. Fans broke the story themselves. The investigation was real. The Orange County Sheriff's Office confirmed that his hat, his jacket, and his hands had been taken, and some of those pieces later surfaced in the hands of an NBA player. In 2019, a former cast member and his cousin were arrested in connection with the theft. The case eventually went cold. A documentary about the whole strange saga came out in 2025, but the figure himself never came back. Somewhere right now, a storage unit, a garage, a private collection, there is a robot who used to live inside a child's imagination, sitting in the dark again. Nobody will say where, maybe nobody knows. That's it. Disney spends more than almost anyone on Earth making things look permanent and perfect. These are the cracks. For me, it is Buzzy, a beloved robot, tagged to be saved, then stolen before anyone could save him, and still missing. That one stays with me. Which of these surprised you most, and which did we miss? If this is your kind of story, subscribe. We go looking for the hidden things behind famous places every week.